All right, this is the daily chart of TWTR. In this video, I'm going to talk about volume because some people ask me about volume, and I'm going to be talking about options, as this is an options trade that I mentioned on my stream. Um, and this was a little tricky, and I'll explain why. But just to answer people about volume, been asked this question. So what I usually do is you take a look at the 15-minute bar. Now today there was good volume, or a 10-minute bar or something. And you can see that today, when Twitter tried to break out, it had good volume. The only problem was is that I talked about the 5150 area, and as you can see, let's we bring up a 2-minute chart. You can see that the stock barely was able to hold above the 5150 for any length of time. That's what I was looking at. I was willing to pay higher, but I had a feeling there was something wrong. Even though it had the volume, I wanted to watch. Usually, when it has strong volume, and don't forget the market was down. This was also near option expiration, and so what happens is that it's called option manipulation, and this does exist where they keep it low. They try to keep it down. I mean, the stock was up while the market was down, but ended up going down, even though the market was trying to recover a bit. I believe this stock is getting ready to pop higher. And I'm going to be sending my chart witness followers, an update on this. But basically, we were looking for the 5150 calls. And based on my setups and everything, when we trigger, you can even use options that are no more than 2 weeks out, because the stock pops and the option prices, for example, are inexpensive. And this stock, like this day here, if you traded this right, you could have made 100% on some of the right kind of options. On this pop day, that this was a breakout day, but then where you should be taking profits, but then you'd have to take small profits on this pullback was too high. However, this stock is setting up, and there's just being it's option manipulation. There's something in that 5150 area, and that's why I talked about the 5150 breakout area. So, but the good news is that, for an example, how can you tell? Well, you look at the best strong volume. So, for example, here's the you can tell that strong volume on a 10-minute bar is a 3.9 million, right? So you can see today as we were popping, but within 10 minutes is 3. So you can tell that this was pretty good volume. So again, it doesn't mean that for sure. You got to look at other factors. But that's an idea that there was some good volume in here. You want to compare it to other strong volume days. So you can you got to look at what are you can find that in a lot of intraday charts. This is what I do. I just look at what's a good, and it gives you an idea whether you should open. And then you got to look at price action. Remember, I talk about things. So it's about, sometimes it's okay, it's hitting 51, but the market's down a lot. Does it really have the power? And again, that 5150 area was another resistance area. And notice, like I explained in this on the chart before, that this barely held above 5150. So I basically did not bother or trust the stock, and figure that they're going to neither keep it in this 51 area, and then if we're going to get a pop, it's going to be probably next week, as this is being manipulated. Again, this is another option thing. But I mean, if you bought if you did happen to buy this and you have enough time in the option, theoretically, this should be popping higher soon. But I look for confirmation. I like things to go a lot smoother, and if I have to pay up for that confirmation, I don't care. Because I want to make sure that this does want to pop into the higher areas. So in this video, basically what I want to talk about was about volume, and that gives you an idea. And options, you can, if the timing is right. That's why I talk about the right buy points. An option with even 2 weeks out, where you can have a very close strike price, usually has a lot of volume, a lot more trading happening there, and so that let's say you buy a 51 call, and this breaks up and you're buying in the 5150 area, whatever, that the option's still going to be very cheap, under maybe 120 dollars, depending on the, usually 100, under 150. We'll just make it for simple purposes. That option, if Twitter goes to 53, that option will more likely have doubled, even more than double, on that simple little move. But the key is, though, it sounds all great now. The key is that you need to identify stocks that are really strong setups that are ready to pop. And when they're ready to pop, this is why I look at volume and everything, and that's how power trigger trade. If and sometimes you can hold those moves for a days, and and those options go up 200-300%, and you can always roll out on options. So let's say you buy one that's 2 weeks out, and it's finally, you got in, and usually it's very powerful. It moves for 2-3 days. You can take profits and then roll out to something farther out on a pullback. There's all kinds of ways, but the key is that we're trying to buy the power and make these quick strong gains. And you can always roll out and look for another pop, right? Another consolidational pattern. But I'm not getting into the scope of that. Basically, if I give out just the news of something's ready to go, the setup, then you're looking for the power and the confirmation numbers to tell you to get in, and you don't need much time on the option, I find. Because I find that a lot of those stocks, they explode quickly, and you can always roll out of the options into other ones, and taking profits or rolling out. There's all kinds of things you can do, and you don't need, even a person with a small account can do very well. You can control 500 shares of Twitter for under $1,000 and double your money quickly. So you imagine this on a larger scale as well, right? But the key is the timing, the power, the pressure, what's going on in the market, but it pays very well. So even for if Twitter decides to confirm on Monday, for example, the options can gain a lot of money. And so this is the kind of style, this is the kind of style my trades are. We're waiting for confirmation. So if this takes longer to confirm, it's okay, because the option become a little bit cheaper, and they'll become even more profitable and less risky, right? Because when something pops, it isn't going to pop back much. They keep going. This is the way it is, And if they don't, you have to get out and re-enter. Right, but what my statistics show is when we buy the power, the right timing, the stock will go in favor very quickly of the day. When Twitter, let's go back to the daily chart here. When Twitter was confirming the day I talked about that, and it popped, it just flowed beautifully. You could tell, right? And if you bought the right kind of options, some of them could have gained even 100% or close to that just that day. This, of course, erased a lot of gains, but this is not typical. Most breakout stocks break up more smoothly. They don't pull back like this. There's something wrong, and this was being held back. Again, option observation. This is being held back before they want to pop this higher. This is, my opinion. There is manipulation in the market, but this is a very strong setup in favor of higher prices. Just that's why we wait for confirmation, because with options we don't have the time to wait around days or months. We need that powerful moves, and my experience says that when we buy the power, you're making huge gains in days. So believe me when I tell you, some of these options, even if it doesn't matter, there's 2 weeks left, they gain hundreds and hundreds of percent because of the power of the move, and you're in it, right? And so you're a person even putting $500 down is making $1,000 profit quickly. So that's pretty powerful. And then if you multiply it on a higher level, right? 10, 20, 30, you get the picture, right? And you don't need so much capital to make a lot of money. And if you have more capital, you can make it even more money. But it doesn't matter. If the stock is supposed to move in your favor, 2 weeks is plenty of time. That's why the power trigger trade system is based on waiting for the strong confirmation point to confirm. If the stock doesn't confirm, you avoid the stock and go to the ones that only want to confirm with the volume. Twitter was a really good, that day when it confirmed, it was a very smooth move. So there you have, people, a great video tutorial. Thanks for listening. Like the video.